Hello, everybody, and thank you for invitation here, Team Paptic. It's good to be here. So my name is Markus, and I work as a senior university lecturer at Aalto University School of Arts in Design and Architecture, and in the areas of visual communication design mostly, but also in packaging design. And one could say that I'm perhaps a packaging enthusiast, as my work involves both teaching, research, and coordinating different packaging design projects and educational projects as well. But today I'm here to talk about how packaging design is intertwined with how consumers perceive and experience packaging and products, and how that is also connected to sustainability. So if you think about Aalto University, it's rather interesting place for thinking about packaging. It connects many related areas and expertise through its schools and programs, but it's also a starting point for my journey with packaging design. And I found a more meaningful way to teach packaging design at Aalto University. I founded a new packaging design and innovation platform, which is now a minor, called PackAge, in which in Aalto we collaborate between teachers and different programs and schools and connect projects and industry as well. So that's the background that I'm coming from, and basically we are developing a network, the more explorative and future-focused way of thinking about sustainable packaging design. And the co-design and collaboration is a big part of it. So it's between people, students of different programs, teachers of different schools, university, and industry. And we have worked quite a lot with also sustainability projects, and always we try to find teams and people that are interested in working with specific cases. So it's about cooperation and flow of knowledge between research, education, and industry. And we've done over 35 projects over the years, connecting expertise. So here are some areas of interest, and these pictures are also from projects that we have been working on. So we have been interested in working with new materials and packaging services. For food products, for instance, replacing traditional plastic materials with fiber-based materials, and developing also design strategies for that. Designing for user experience, replacing bubble wraps, unboxing experiences, such. Then also technological innovations in packaging, active packaging and such. And also nudging consumer behavior, which is one important part of the power of design, that how consumers perceive the products will affect their behavior. And then also in general design for sustainability impact, whether it's about fighting food loss or product loss, or promoting some circular economy solutions. But basically we try to utilize design thinking to develop more systemic solutions for the packaging and packaging value chain. And I think sustainability has been a big trend recently in the years we have been working with, quite a popular one. But then again, what is sustainability in packaging? And I still find it that it's a really good question, and more difficult to answer than one might imagine, because it depends, first of all, who you ask, and then again, it's very product specific and depends on many factors. So a very sustainable product for one, sustainable packaging for one product might not work for the next one. And there might be different barriers or protection needed for different solutions. So understanding the context is important. But I think designing out the waste or excess use of materials is at the core of many of the sustainability strategies. We are also using this Ellen MacArthur Foundation's model, in which we think that for creating truly sustainable packaging solutions, we should rethink the whole product system and the packaging as a whole. And it's a big chain of interconnected things, so it can be quite hard as well. But we need also to have like a holistic understanding and collaborate in order to do so. So we try to provide a rather comprehensive perspective to packaging design, also by involving a lot of different teachers from different backgrounds in teaching packaging design and packaging related things. And I believe that packaging is not about branding, or it's not about technology or creating function. It's about pretty much making the products together better in all aspects of their product life cycle. So that would be one way of thinking about it. I think we are all quite aware of that packaging is very systemic and it's everywhere. And actually, if we consider Smithers and Pira's view on packaging, it's penetrating pretty much all other industries. So it can be considered one of the biggest industries worldwide. And at the time of crisis, I think we have been become very aware of the different limitations of for instance, logistics and different dependencies in the supply chain. But as we understand, packaging is also both strategic and tactical, and it generates economic and environmental impacts. So the materials we work with, the solutions we work with, they are quite important, and they have like a trickle-down effect further down the value chain. So if we look at the whole packaging value chain, we can discover new targets of development and issues to be solved through design. And if we think about like the jungle of how it might look out there in the marketplace for consumers' point of view, it's a bit a different story. Consumers have a rather limited perspective on the whole packaging value chain, but also there are a few things that packaging design needs to do in order that the packaging makes any sense. First of all is that it needs to have a standout in the market in order to be ever considered for purchase. So the visual aspects and visual communication is actually very important. And it is said that good packaging is a key for product success. And as it is a symbol for the product it contains and influence the desirability of the product. So it's also connected to the which products are moving on the market. So it has sort of like further business implications also for companies. And it's not so simple to be successful in the markets nowadays when there's lots of competition. So I think the role of design can be also to guide consumers to more responsible choices. And I think if we think another value chain or another way of selling products, e-commerce, of course, is one of the big trends happening at the moment. So there's a bit of difference what aspects become important. One thing, for instance, is that how the product is presented in the online environment when consumers choose products, but then also that how this whole experience and expectations are met when consumers unbox the packaging, or how it's delivered, how it's living up to the promise. And for instance, the unboxing experience has become very important for many brands. This packaging is United Sodas of America, interesting brand, USA, by Alex Center. So a bit of theory also about how we can think about the visuality. Löfgren talks about moments of truth, and the first moments of truth is that is the part of it that consumers see in store, and that determine whether the product is bought or not. So packaging connects the consumer and product and the brand in a meaningful way when it works, and the packaging impressions and the interaction affect what kind of experience consumers will have, and it influences the product appraisal. And for designers, it's a constant challenge to think about how to incorporate different things, elements, meanings, messages into the packaging. Also thinking about interactions and the experience that happened first. But first, you need to be distinguishing it. You need to recognize what kind of product it is, and then you start to have impressions, and you either like the product or not, and you start further making sense of it before you actually touch it, if it's convincing enough. And I was part of the LOHASPAC project funded by Business Finland a few years back, and we also looked at different things in how lifestyles of health and sustainability consumers value products. But I borrowed this slide from SIG, and there is one important thing here is that the details of packaging become apparent only at very close range. So if we think that we want to communicate about sustainability issues, for instance, through writing, it's not very efficient. The packaging might not end up in the consumer's hand at all if it doesn't have any other means of communicating it. And depending on the source, it can take from 3 to 6 seconds to make a choice. And this is normal, like the supermarket self-checking. So the appearance and clarity is very important. This is a bit more dense slide, but I think it's a very good one. It depicts one possible packaging value chain as an example. And the main point here is that the consumers perceive a very limited bit of the packaging value chain. They perceive the part in the supermarket setting. And there's the first moments of truth, which are the sales-oriented factor about distinguishing, recognizing, sort of getting the visual sense of about the product, meaning making. And those will determine whether the product is interesting enough to be considered to be bought. If the product is being bought, then the second moments of truth that is related more to the usage of the packaging become important. So the functions related to carrying, opening, dispensing, using the product become more important. But these all affect on how pleasant or annoying the experience for the consumers is, and also it accumulates to the experience, brand experience as well. But then if you think about this as a bigger picture, we can think of every bullet point also as a opportunity to make a difference somehow, to tweak something in the value chain, for instance, for making the product more sustainable. And we should consider the product and packaging as one, because one of the functions of the packaging, of course, to protect the product, and that's a big part of the sustainability. Sustainability of the product and sustainability of the packaging should go together. And we can think of the packaging as being critical at every bullet point. So, and we can think of those as opportunities for the design intervention. And if we can understand the value chain as designers or people working for the companies, we can create products and services that also are desirable for the consumers and possibly feasible and viable for other stakeholders as well. And if we think about sustainability also, we should also think about those. We should find a way to visually communicate it also, so that it will be understood that way. So why is visual design so important? For one, it's an information shortcut, and perception is a key of everything. So, for instance, in sustainability, it's a complex issue and challenge to communicate in a short time, but we should try to do it also visually. People face more information than they are capable of handling. So packaging is a compact way of presenting different ideas rather efficiently. Many products are nearly identical, so design differentiates from competition. Packaging is the single most effective marketing media from consumer products, if you think about it as a media and in terms of return on investment. So developing desirable packaging doesn't have to be very expensive. And then the consumer perspective, packaging is perceived as a message also about the quality and the qualities of the product. Packaging is read as a symbol of the product, interpreted. And often packaging in the market environment, in a very busy market environment, packaging can be also the only advertisement for the product. So it needs to sell itself. And from sales perspective, unseen will be unsold. So there's a lot of things that affect here, and also of course consumer tastes change and trends will come, and some products start to look more outdated than others. So it's a continuous development in developing desirable products. Then also values such as sustainability needs to be visually communicated. As I mentioned, packaging is the symbol of the product. And if you really think about it, like how many different things we can communicate with one glance about the product. It's quite impressive. And it can communicate also brand values and product qualities 24/7. If it's purchased, we share our lives with the product. So through design, we can increase the desirability of the product and help consumers make decisions. Also guide through product and usage information. And how these different visual elements are combined it's called the packaging gestalt. Graphic design is used a lot, like how to combine different things, and all these different elements suggest together the product. And it's very dense communication in that sense, semantically. So there is the ruggedness of a surface might communicate something, the colors communicate something, typefaces communicate something about what kind of product it is. So there's all different design choices, and there are quite many in every design. They are all part of the whole idea of what kind of product it is. To jump a bit more to the marketing side, it is said also that packaging is the 5th P in the marketing mix. In Ambrose Harris' book, Packaging the Brand, it said that the 5th P, packaging, synthesizes the previous 4 components into the visual face of a brand and brings together physical characteristics of the products, its pricing strategy, cheap or premium, how it will be promoted, and where it will be sold. So there's quite many different things that can be seen in the packaging. And consumers also see different things in packaging. So it's not just the environmental aspects or price, but there's functional, informal, instrumental, and aesthetic aspects as well. And we did a survey in 2011 and 2014 with over 1,000 Finnish consumers, and found out these different values that consumers attribute to packaging. So there's quite a few. And if we think about those and put those into the starting point of how the packaging should communicate, we can think about the functional aspects, the practical aspects, the seductive aspects, or informative aspects. Packaging is also interactive and responsibly. So starting from the user-centered design, we can make more meaningful, easier packaging for consumers that they desire. And also one thing to remember, that people don't buy packaging, they are interested in the products, but they are often very intertwined. So it's an interface between the user and the product. Packaging is a tangible connection between the consumer and the brand and the company. It's multisensory. Repetitive exposure to packaging creates a relationship with packaging. And consumers want to behave responsibly, so let's help them. Also, these digital experiences, augmented realities and such are now a big part of how we can create meaningful packaging experiences with consumers. But this leads to the takeaways that I have for this presentation. One thing is that we should think about sustainability as a whole. So if we have sustainable products, they should be coupled with sustainable packaging. And we can strengthen the sustainability message as well through that. And people are first of all interested in the products, not necessarily the packaging. So the role of packaging in relation to product is important. And as sustainability is as a quite different concept to communicate, we need to have some strategies in which way we can talk about it or show about it in a very short time frame. And consumers are really willing to make more responsible consumption choices, but they will need your help to understand and trust the better choice. And then also another aspect is that sustainability needs to be coupled with some other benefits that packaging design can provide, such as convenience, to be truly attractive for most consumers. Sustainability shouldn't be difficult or difficult to deal with. So what you want to do with the packaging should be easy. But I think that summarizes my presentation for today. Thank you. And if you have questions, I'm happy to answer some.
Okay, now we are here in the same picture and the same frame with Markus. Thanks for your presentation, Markus.
You're welcome.
So very, very interesting insights you have. And I know that you have been working quite extensively and you have experienced largely in this kind of projects. So how would you say, what are really the change makers? Where does the change start from? So is it consumers, or is it the brands, or is it the retail chain? So which player in the value chain is really the change maker?
It's a very good question, and often I think that the consumer is one key driver for markets. What the consumers will recognize, see, and understand will of course have an effect that will the product ever be sold. And if you think about that, often research and development of product is quite expensive and takes lots of resources. And then if the packaging fails to deliver in such way that the consumers will understand or want to have that product, I think then there's a bit of problem. But of course, consumers don't necessarily have the understanding of the material options or choices that are out there. So on the other hand, companies working with new sustainable materials, developing alternatives, are also in a very big role. I think communication is really the challenge here, because it's complex. Creating something that the consumers will understand also in a rather short time when they actually interact with the product and packaging. That is the key.
Yeah, isn't it interesting that how difficult it is to communicate reliably that what really is the most relevant issue in sustainability, like communicating that to consumers, and in a way that I quite often think that consumers are really like in a trouble in comparing all possible sustainability claims or different labels or so on. So it is, I fully agree that it is difficult to compare and know that what is really the ultimate, what would be the best option to do. But have you, Markus, you've been working with these issues for quite a long time. So do you see that there is a certain change happening, or how would you describe that? What has been the development in the last, let's say, 5 years?
We studied, for instance, Lohas consumers, and in numbers, this trend has been becoming stronger. So the amount of population that are in the Lohas medium and heavy segments has been growing, and I think there's quite a lot of people who are actively seeking for sustainable alternatives and more responsible products. And responsibility can be also like ethical products and different environmental aspects or cruelty-free products and things like that. So they often are attractive to the Lohas consumers.
And Lohas consumers are the lifestyle of health and sustainability, wasn't it so?
Yes.
And the share of segment. It's a consumer segment, and the share of that segment is definitely growing. Yes.
I think it's about 1/3 of the Finnish population at the moment.
Yeah. So please.
Yes, but also there is of course that people say one thing and do another thing, so they don't always behave as rationally as they might want to think as well, or so consumption choices might be different in different products. So sometimes you buy convenience because it's very practical, it's out there, or the price is a more driving force than the material choice. So in different products there might be different behaviors, even the same consumer.
So different drivers in different kinds of situations, and maybe also in different market areas as well.
Indeed, it's very contextual.
It is said so that sustainability gets market-based emphasis, and they differ from each other and also differ over the time. Good. We also have other question, and it's also related to consumers, because we have learned that consumers are the one who wants to make the change. Are consumers willing to pay more for the responsible choice in packaging?
It depends. I think also about how much more expensive it might be, but also another thing is that sustainability alone wouldn't be enough. So there should always be some other product benefits as well that the packaging can provide. So if it's inconvenient and sustainable, I don't think it has a very strong chance of being a winner in the market. But there is definitely a big part of the consumers that are also willing to pay a bit extra for more responsible products.
And on the other hand, it's quite rare that consumer, for example, would have maybe the knowledge that what is the price of the packaging solution separately. Because I remember listening to you earlier, and you said that the packaging solution is a symbol of a product, and it really resonates to me that I from consumer's perspective, the whole product with the package is really the thing that the consumer is choosing for.
Indeed, and it's also that the packaging provides the product experience in many cases, and then again, companies often tend to optimize their packaging for different things. So there might be efficiency, there might not be so much pain points for consumers, but it doesn't necessarily yet make it a good experience. So the lack of bad experience doesn't yet make it a good experience. So there's also opportunities in thinking about like how you could develop packaging that somehow provides unexpected convenience or pleasure in different settings, in the office, on the go, at home, something. So design has also opportunities in that, and I think that is something that now companies also start to recognize a lot more.
We already have received some questions regarding recyclability from the chat, so I combine asking from you with the questions coming from the chat. So yes, Paptic materials are designed in a way that they are always recyclable, and also the recyclability issue has been taken up in many questions. So yes, Paptic materials are recyclable with paperboards and fiber-based packaging materials, and it is really the easy solution for the consumer, because that's the most well-known recycling fraction really, and also is recycled with high efficiencies within Europe, for example. But Markus, do you think that consumers appreciate recyclability?
Yes, if it's something that doesn't become too complex. If you have
so it needs to be easy.
If you have a multi-material packaging that has many different parts that you need to take apart, it might become like a extra chore, and then there's at some point it might not feel so nice to do it anymore. So even though there's a lot of willing to recycle materials, it should also be made in a rather convenient way, I think. And then again, the systems might be varying in different markets, but how developed they are for different types of recycling. So that's another thing to consider.
Right, and then we again come to the packaging design itself, and we're going to see one very interesting example of Pamilon, who is, well, I'm not revealing the secret, but packaging design plays a key role in making the packaging solution to be recyclable in consumers' hands. Hey, in this phase, Markus, I thank you very much for your insights. It was such a pleasure to have you here, and if there will be questions targeted for you, we will send them afterwards to you and try to deliver the answers to the audiences.
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.